Waiters, what Valentine Day disasters have you witnessed? Please consider subscribing if you enjoy the video. I saw a couple have a full-blown argument in the middle of the restaurant. The woman stood up, took her ring off, threw it at him and walked out. The man continued his meal, had dessert and then paid the bill, left a pretty big tip for the inconvenience and left. She does this sometimes. Sorry everybody. I once ended up in a burrito place at 2 AM talking with a guy who was just casually managing his fiance's drunken breakdown because she accidentally ordered peppers. The guy seemed tired. Well, it was 2 AM. Something tells me that's the least of his worries. He looks at her, stoic, and while she orates a blister of bluster that rarely abates a frenzy of fury and hatred and bile, he sips at his drink, and he waits for a while. He watches. She spells out the way that she feels. He picks up his fork and he picks at their meals. She throws him her ring, and she leaves him, and then he whispers, "How splendid. It's this it again." 2 failed marriage proposals on the same Valentine's Day. The first one simply said no, I can't do this, and walked out. The second one stared like a deer frozen in the headlights for an excruciating 30 seconds before muttering, "Let's talk about this later." They stayed for the rest of their 6-course V-Day special dinner, eating and making painful small talk. I always wonder about couples like this. How could the guy be so off the mark as to not know if his girlfriend will say yes? Do they not communicate? Is she pretending to like him more than she does? These are questions I need answers to. Hey man, don't judge. Lots of people make mistakes on first dates. Classic schmosby. Musbiest designs has failed. Poor impulse control and not thinking through all the possible outcomes. I know pop culture views it as romantic, but I kinda think proposing in a public place is sort of a dong move to begin with. You're basically forcing the person you're proposing to look like a jerk in front of strangers if she or he says no. It wasn't disastrous for the couple as much as it was the restaurant. I used to work at a small southeastern franchise restaurant. It wasn't anything you could mistake for upscale. We had someone call in and ask if we could fry the ring he was planning to propose with in a hush puppy. Extremely weird request, but we said sure. They come in to eat with their families. She gets her order of hush puppies, doesn't choke on the ring and seems excited enough. Stayed at the table for about 2 hours total and chatted. They dined and dashed. I walked up to her table and was about to drop off the bill. Caught the end of "It's over." Guy looked at me dead in the eye and said to split that frickin' check right now. That is actually hilarious, and good on him for not paying for someone who dumped him. Now I'm reminded of my ex. We were together for over 6 years, living together, and we had begun to plan a wedding. Her car died, so I bought her one of her choice. I gave her a $20,000 limit to use however she wanted. New, used, whatever. She wanted something small and easy to drive with good storage space, so she chose a brand new Scion XD. $16.50 K. We drove 4 hours to the next state to get one in the color that she wanted. A few months later she's leaving me for the guy who she had been cheating on me with. And this guy was married and cheating on his wife to be with her, too. Well, here's this brand new car. It was in my name. I was making the payments. And she's leaving me to go be with this mutual cheater. I told her that she had 2 options regarding this car. She could either get a loan to purchase this car off of me, or I'm taking the car back. I'm not going to pay circa $18,000 after interest for a car for you now. She wasn't happy about this. She was also using my old cell phone at the time since she broke hers. I told her that I wanted my phone back, too. After I got it back, I looked at what she left on it. She deleted the contact of her new cheater frick boy, but the text messages remained. I knew his number, so it was easy to see who she was talking to. She was saying to him that I was driving her crazy about this car and that I wouldn't just leave her alone about it. She was angry that I wasn't going to just keep paying for it. You think that you can leave me for the guy that you were cheating on me with, and that I'm still going to pay for this brand new car of your choice for you? Are you freaking kidding me? Not really a disaster, but this guy came in, and said he was waiting for his date. He stayed for 5 hours waiting and she never showed. He eventually ordered for himself and asked that I remove the other glass of water from the table. He said it was their first date. At that point, doesn't that make him the waiter? Dad? Damn, why would you wait for 5 hours? I'm out of there after 30 minutes. Same. Half an hour. No show. Not wasting any more time. I'd wait an hour. She could be on daylight saving time. Not a total disaster, but still not good. Had a table of 2 people, probably in their mid-40s last year. Took 45 minutes for this couple to get their entrees due to our kitchen being way too slammed. When they were dropped at the table, they immediately asked for to-go boxes, because they told their babysitter they'd be home by a certain time. I overheard the wife say, "Well, I guess this is why we don't celebrate Valentine's Day." The worst part was that they weren't angry, just very sad. My personal feelings about dining out on Valentine's Day aside, I felt so horrible that this couple clearly had put in an effort to have a nice night with each other only to have it go that way. We comped their meals. By the way, as a mum of 3 who rarely gets to go on dates with my husband, this just made me so very sad. I feel their disappointment in my soul. Nice that at least they got their meal comped. Kudos to you and your manager. That's sad. I bet they planned for a while to get the time and probably haven't had a date in a while. A 16-year-old boy proposed to a 15-year-old girl with a cheap ring and the whipped cream of her dessert. She said yes. So romance isn't quite dead yet. Don't you know what happens when kids that young get married? It's all romance until the mutual suicide. At least their families might stop their bloody feud. I was working as a waitress in a sushi restaurant and Valentine's Day was an all hands on deck shift. This guy I had just started seeing wanted to go out, but I told him that working in food service, you never get Valentine's Day off and we just have to celebrate the day after or the weekend after. Nope. He got so upset that he went and asked a different girl out, came to the restaurant I worked at on the day and sat in my section. He then proceeded to spend the entire evening making a fool out of himself and making his date uncomfortable as he tried to make me jealous. Needless to say, we didn't go out again. Ever. If he had surprised you at work and brought a couple friends that didn't have dates for dinner so that he could still see you on Valentine's Day, he'd have earned a million points. But nope. Not only did he get mad over something stupid, he blew it with 2 women at once. Honestly, I'm kinda freaking impressed. That's NK obviously. Insane level of confidence. Totally. When I first saw him getting seated by the hostess, I thought he was coming to surprise me and I thought it was so sweet. Then the awful reality slowly dawned on me. My coworkers were just as livid once they realized what was going on. Jesus. May I ask how old he was? We were both in our early 20s. Bullet dodged. Saw a couple have a full-on argument at a restaurant. I wasn't their server, but the table was directly in the center of the restaurant and they were certainly loud enough for everyone to hear. My manager kindly asked them to leave and the guy's response was to yell, "I've been wanting to do that for 2 years now," and stormed out. It was like a movie. I was bartending at an Italian restaurant, not a fancy one, but still, and it's pretty much full of Valentine's dates. A guy walks in and sits at the bar by himself, looking pretty down. He asked for a whiskey, so I poured it, told him it was on the house, because he looked like he needed it. He proceeds to tell me his story. He had come to the city to surprise his girlfriend for Valentine's, about a 5-hour bus trip between cities, and he sure surprised her. She was in her dorm room fricking one of his friends from high school. He didn't know what to do, so he just walked into the first place that sold alcohol. I spilled as much whiskey as he wanted and watched the Raptors with him. Never saw him again. It's cliche, but it happened. I know we have the benefit of hindsight, but I can't help feeling like it's a terrible idea to have a fair on Valentine's Day in a place where your so could conceivably find you, even if they live 5 hours away. To be fair, she lived on campus, so probably first year. Teenagers aren't the best at foresight and subtlety in my experience. Still a pretty terrible idea though. Clichés become clichés for a reason. Someone showing up for a date and you both realize about 30 minutes and she ain't coming. Drinks on me, buddy. Maybe that's what I should do next time I'm single or don't have plans on the day. Go around to different places and get free it. We'll take our free crab cakes now. Back when I served food at one of those super touristy seafood restaurants, I worked a Valentine's Day double shift. For lunch, this younger couple came in celebrating their 1-year anniversary. I offer my congratulations and proceed to do my usual spiel before taking orders. The girl is looking more and more dismayed the longer I talk. Finally I get to the end and ask if there are any allergies. She looks directly at her boyfriend and states, "Yes, I'm allergic to fish and shellfish," then looks over at me very sad. I made sure every aspect of her meal was fine for her. But it was that look of "we've been dating a year and he still takes me to a restaurant that could kill me" that really did it for me. That reminds me when my parents got me a huge strawberry filled cake with strawberries on it for my 25th birthday. I'm deathly allergic to strawberries. So, did they have a life insurance policy on you or something? 25 is the last year a lot of insurance plans cover your kids. I'm sure that's just a coincidence though. Jesus Christ. What was his reaction? He wasn't the one who was allergic. Aren't you paying attention?